And a happy carryover Friday at Saratoga to everybody. It's the First Call podcast. First Bet, Express Bet representing here with Jeff Siegel and Jeremy Plonk. Yes, it's a carryover, $111,000 in the pick six on Friday at Saratoga. They're on the turf, fingers crossed. Hopefully I didn't just hex it and Mother Nature's going to laugh at me by the time the pick six rolls around. But a big weekend for pick six bettors. You got a mandatory payout on Saturday, Pacific Classic Day coming up tomorrow at Del Mar. So carryover Friday at Saratoga, mandatory payout with $350,000 or so in the pot going into today at Del Mar. Should be a big weekend for pick six bettors, Jeff. And I know we broke the news here on our Tuesday podcast a week or so ago about Santa Anita returning to the $1 pick six and a traditional pick six. So if you like to play the pick six, this is a good time of year, and we're kind of gearing back up towards it.
Yeah, no, I am. It's been a while for me. I'm not a rainbow guy, in terms of the pick six. So I like it when you can, go after it. I would have preferred the $2 increment, but I understand $1 is fine. I don't have to get greedy here. But starting the fall meeting at Santa Anita, I'll be diving in there. But there's some excellent racing here. Of course, it's Labor Day weekend, so you figured it would be good racing also on Sunday and Monday. So we'll have that on our analysis and wagering strategies on the website. But as far as looking forward to Saturday, you can see the list of outstanding races here. And some of them are a lot of times you get these stakes races and they boil down to the favorites. But I got some price chances here, quite a few, as a matter of fact, that hopefully we can get at least one of them home and pay for the whole freight.
Well, we welcome those of you watching on Twitter and on YouTube. Hit the like button and share this video. And those of you listening on our traditional podcast channels, here are the stakes that Jeff and I will handicap on this program. From Kentucky Downs, the $2 million Mint Millions on Saturday will be our first handicapping exercise. Then we'll go to Saratoga for the Prioress and the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Still got to get used to that one at Saratoga. Been there for a year or two now, but the former Belmont Fall Meet fixture now coming up on Saturday at the Spa on closing weekend. Del Mar's big day of the meet, of course, is Pacific Classic Saturday. We will handicap the Del Mar Mile, the Torrey Pines, the Green Flash for the Turf Sprinters, the Pacific Classic, and the finale on the card, the Del Mar Handicap. If you're handicapping on Saturday, Saratoga and Del Mar, and we know you are, be sure to do so with Express Bet and First Bet because, Jeff, we've got $30,000 in hit and splits offered. There are 6 different late pick 4 sequences where we will look at these hit and splits. The late pick 4 on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, both at Saratoga and Del Mar, each juiced with an additional $5,000 in money from Express Bet and First Bet. So if you take down the late pick 4 on any of those 3 days, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday at Saratoga or Del Mar, the late pick 4 payoff, you'll get your pari-mutuel money plus your share of $5,000 with just other players at First Bet and Express Bet who hit on those platforms. So great way to play this weekend. Be sure to take advantage of that. Handicapping tournaments this weekend. There will be one for Del Mar on Saturday. We're looking forward, or on Sunday, I should say, Del Mar. But a big one on Saturday for our Fun in the Sun players. People have been handicapping Saratoga and Del Mar all season. 6 weeks of 5 qualifiers each week gave 30 entrants into the final table for the Fun in the Sun handicapping tournament. But there's not 30 players playing, Jeff. 3 different players qualified twice in the 6 weeks with more than 800 entries. So a fabulous job by 3 players. We want to salute dual qualifiers on Saturday. They are Gordon Moroya, Frank Wynn, and Paul Janis. Hats off, fellas. Great handicapping throughout the course of Saratoga and Del Mar. Good luck to the 3 of you and 27 or 24 others, making 27 total in the Fun in the Sun final table. The jackpot they're playing for on Saturday, $16,202. 100% of that paid by Express Bet or entry fees. No money kept by Express Bet in the tournament scene. All of it 100% paid back. So good luck to our Fun in the Sun final table. 4th year of the final table format. Just 27 players, 30 entrants overall. Good luck to the players this weekend in Fun in the Sun. Let's start at a non-Fun in the Sun contest track. Of course, that's Saratoga and Del Mar. Last 5 races on the card at Saratoga, first 5 at Del Mar. We're going to start at Kentucky Downs with our handicapping. Jeff, one of 3 $1 million races. This is the $1 million plus race, the $2 million Mint Millions. It's a grade 3, a mile on the turf. prep here potentially for the Breeders' Cup Turf. This race has had a million different names for it over the years. 6 different names, in fact, I found since it was instituted in 1992 at the former Dueling Grounds, but it's now the $2 million Mint Millions. We've got a good one in here in Annapolis, one of the horses that you have to say is one of the top horses in the U.S. in the Breeders' Cup mile division on turf. We'll see if he can come back off of a couple losses against Casa Creed at Saratoga and take his game to Kentucky Downs for the first time. Do you like Annapolis, the likely favorite in here? Or are you going somewhere else?
Well, I like Annapolis, but that at 8-5, I'm going to try to beat him. And I certainly, if I were playing on any kind of rolling exotic like a pick 3 or pick 4, I would use him. His form is solid. He's had 2 hard races though, and he's laid his body down. I mean, sometimes you go to the well once too often, although he's been the kind of horse that's been able to string together good races. So he's the logical top pick. But there's a very interesting European invader here named Ancient Rome, War Front Colt, actually bred in Kentucky. He's done all of his racing overseas. And he was a very good 2-year-old in France. He was a good horse last year running in group races. And his best race actually was his last race, at least according to Time Form, which gave him a 118 rating. I'm telling you, 118 Time Form rating is good enough to win a race like this 9 out of 10 times. And all he has to do is repeat his most recent race at Goodwood, in which he took the length of the stretch to finally get up and win the race in a 15-runner race. It was a handicap, a very valuable handicap race. Spotted weight, carried 133 pounds, and ran arguably the best race of his life. That was in early August, so he's had about a month off, and he shows up here for Charlie Hills. And if he runs back to that race at Goodwood, there's not a doubt in my mind he's good enough to win this race, and he is 8-1 on the morning line.
Now, they're going to be going a different direction they will at Kentucky Downs, but when you watch this replay we're about to show you from Goodwood, tell me this doesn't look like a Kentucky Downs victory, just a consistent plugging outside rally, and the stretch is endless, and he gets there and gets there handily. Here is Ancient Rome from Goodwood.
Out in the lead, it's still Pride of America. Outbreak and Eagles Way giving chase as they reach the cutaway. Haunted Dream moves back to the inside, then Lord Protector. And behind these on the outside, Paradius with the red cap from the back. Ancient Rome tries to close on. Haunted Dream's nipped up the inside and has come through to lead at the furlong pole. Paradius down the centre, and all the time Ancient Rome continues to run on strongly. But out in front, it's Haunted Dream who has the advantage. Right from the back of the field, Ancient Rome has come from last and will get to first. Ancient Rome under Jamie Spencer. First start for Charlie Hills, beat Haunted Dream. Tight for third between on the outside Paradius of Pride of America, then Keys Chorister, who ran on late. Cadillac also made it over the late ground. Imperial Fighter all the way back to Soto Sizzler. Ancient Rome has come from the back of the pack to win eventually by a length.
That's the steady comer that gets it done often at Kentucky Downs. Now, Jeff, a horse who is going to be near the pace in here that I give a chance to hit the board at a good number is the 3 Stitch, 20-1 in the morning line. Florent Giroux rides. He's an excellent turf speed jockey. There's not a ton of early pace in this race, and I think a horse near the front can live it for a good share. He stalked the pace and pressed and pounced last time out at 43-1 when he won the Wise Dan Stakes, 46-1, at Ellis Park. The public doesn't come back quickly on horses like this. You win at 46-1, you're going to be a price the next time too. They've got to see it a few times typically. 20-1 in the morning line. I think it's a fair price, and I think this horse under Giroux, the top stakes jockey at Kentucky Downs over the year, 22% win rider in stakes races. He's the top winning jockey with 19 stakes wins at Kentucky Downs, tops among active jockeys. I like Stitch to get in there at a big number and be a part of this. And certainly at 20-1, I think we definitely want some win money, but we can move around in some exactas as well. You know, a Tone looks good in here, the Pegasus World Cup winner in terms of class. Annapolis has class. Your horse, Ancient Rome from Europe. There's some different horses we can mix and mingle in here with a price.
Let me ask you a question, because I know you've done maybe more research on Kentucky Downs than I have. Can you actually steal a race there? I mean, can you? Yeah. You can be on front early and keep going. It's not like you got no shot or anything.
Yeah, no, and certainly at the 6.5, 7, and mile trips, more likely to happen than when they go the extended trips. But absolutely, you can steal a race here. It's not easy, but like anything else, pace will make the race a lot of times. If you can kind of get away with some fractions and then still kick on, you need a horse who can kick, and that's kind of why I like Stitch, because he's been successful with the mile and a 16th last time. Now you shorten back. If you give a horse like that some pace, and he's going to be more forward. I thought he ran a good race going 6.5 last year in the Franklin Simpson over this turf course, going 6.5. It was too short. That's sharp. I think at a mile, he's going to be one of the speeds in here, and that can make him effective in here. So I'm giving Stitched a chance at a big price. Jeff likes Ancient Rome. That is the Mint Millions, one of 3 stakes races from Kentucky Downs. Now, if you enjoy playing Kentucky Downs racing, there's a $10 money back special on every race of the meet when you bet with First Bet and Express Bet. That means if your win bet finishes second or third, you get up to $10 of that bet back in the form of wagering credits after the fact. So take your chance. You got a safety net to work with every race at Kentucky Downs. And I've got a report that I'm posting on the blog section at Express Bet and at First Bet in the news section called Kentucky Downs Today. Debuted yesterday. We gave 3 best bets of the day, about a 25% flat bet profit if you played those 3. So we got one nice winner in the 3 in. We're hopefully we'll do that throughout the course of the meet with 2 or 3 best bets on the card. One of mine is Stitched on Saturday. Be sure to check out the blog section on Saturday morning, Express Bet and First Bet, to get my Kentucky Downs Today report. Hopefully, Jeff, that sets me up for Keeneland. I'm not one who handicaps Kentucky Downs all the time, but I kind of feel like when Keeneland starts up, I'm a little behind on the Kentucky Downs horses. So I'm doing a little bit extra work on Kentucky Downs this meet to get me ready for Keeneland. We still got about a month or so to go on that. Let's move our attention to Saratoga on Saturday, where it's the final weekend. 4 days of racing remain as of this podcast recording on Friday. They will run Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then traditional Labor Day, Monday closing day at Saratoga. Saturday's card includes the Flower Bowl with just 4 entrants early in the card. Then we also have the Prioress and the Jockey Club Gold Cup. So Grade 2 and Grade 1 stakes company that are in our focus for handicapping here. Let's go to the 5th, the 6-furlong sprint. These are the 3-year-old fillies in the Prioress, former Grade 1 stakes, now in Grade 2 company. Jeff, where did you end up here in the Prioress?
Well, I ended up with Dazzling Blue. This is a filly that won her first 3 starts. Didn't run particularly fast in terms of speed figures, but she won all 3 races very impressively. Broke her maiden to Churchill last November, came back and won a stakes at Fairgrounds, won an allowance race at the Churchill back in May. And then she said, okay, enough of this. Let's go and tackle the best in the division. And Maple Leaf Mel showed up in the victory ride. And Dazzling Blue couldn't handle her, but she certainly ran very well to be second. The filly who finished third came back and won the stake. And it was a fast race with a highly rated number, 94. Since then, this Brad Cox trained filly who's on the inside in this breeze here is done very well in the morning. So she doesn't race that often, but she looks like she is spot on here. You can see her just kind of breezing on the inside, never asked to drop. Minute in the 5th. It's going to gallop out real well. So she's doing well. She's drawn outside. She can control the race. She can pop and go or stalk and pounce, whichever Joel Rosario figures that he wants to do. And I think, she's got room for improvement. She's getting better. And maybe who knows how much of a stepping stone this is going to be to bigger and better things. But I think while at 6-5 in the morning line, there's not a real great gamble here. I do think that she's going to step up and maybe take her game to a different level. I like Dazzling Blue to win the Prioress. That's the 5th race at Saratoga on Saturday.
In the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint Division, a lot of times the 3-year-old fillies get a lot of hubbub. I don't know that's going to happen this year with Echo Zulu, Night Olive, and Baffert's filly on the West Coast that's won 7 in a row now. So the 3-year-old fillies are smart to stay with the 3-year-old fillies right now. In this stakes race here, you got the Raven Run at Keeneland, going 7/8 of a mile. These are the kind of races, even in the absence of Maple Leaf Mel in the division now, these are races I think that horses like Dazzling Blue should be in, and I think she's well spotted here. And again, go to the Raven Run at Keeneland. Don't worry about the older fillies and mares right now. They are awfully good in the filly and mare sprint division amongst the elders this year. Now, the elder division for the handicap horses, we can't say the same thing about. There are no Echo Zulus. There are no Goodnight Olives. No. There are no superstars amongst the handicap division with the older horses on third. And so when we get to Saturday's next handicapping race, the Jockey Club Gold Cup, we have to take it with a grain of salt. This is not your father's Jockey Club Gold Cup with some of the legends of racing competing in it. This is a race where Proxy, Clapton, Rattle and Roll are going to be your headliners. In fact, it's not even the best handicap division race of the meet at Saratoga. I don't know what they were thinking moving this race from Belmont to Saratoga. You've got the Whitney just run a couple weeks ago. You're not going to have Whitney horses back in this race, a mile and an eighth. Yes, this is a mile and a quarter, but is that a completely different ballgame when you're talking Breeders' Cup horses? It just seems to me that they've made this a consolation prize race, and it has a consolation prize kind of feel to me, because Proxy's a nice horse, but borderline grade 1, grade 2 type. Rattle and Roll, same way, borderline grade 1, grade 2 type. On their best day against the right field, they can get black type against grade 1 company, but I don't think they're top-notch horses. One of them's going to get a victory, and I think they're going to be underlay kind of prices in this race, Proxy and Rattle and Roll. So do you like those, or do you like somebody else here stepping out a bit?
I'm going to try a fresh face here. Proxy made the lead last time and won, and I'm not sure what was behind him. I mean, he's a nice horse, and numbers wise, he's a fit, I guess. But Rattle and Roll, I know he's very consistent. 5 straight triple-digit buyer numbers. I'm pretty sure he's going to fire. So those are the 2 logical horses. I'm going to try to beat him with Tyson, and Tyson could win. He could run last just as easily, and that's the way it is. But he's a lightly raced tappet colt. He's won his last 2, graded company at Woodbine on the all-weather. He's never been on anything other than Tapeta. So how he handles dirt, well, who knows? But he's got good tactical speed. In fact, I think he might even be the controlling speed if they want him to be here. And I liked his last race. Again, I mean, it was a grade 2. Number was strong. Again, it was an all-weather track. He never changed leads. But there's something about a tappet colt who's only had 5 starts with 4 wins that catches my eye. Right. So maybe he's this good. Maybe they don't respect him. Maybe Tyson can make the lead and carry on as he did in the Seagram Cup last time out at Woodbine.
Let's go back and take a look at that race. There were very slow fractions, and a lot of times when you kind of milk on the lead like that, a horse doesn't have that second kick. He did in here, which was pretty impressive.
Tyson still in front with Carruthers. Henpicking on the outside, and they're clear. It's still Tyson narrowly from Carruthers, and about 3 away Artie Storm. Tyson holding Carruthers. 2.5 to Artie Storm down the outside, and then they accelerate. Tyson showing up by a length and a half. Artie Storm running on, but it's all Tyson, and a very nice stakes win again. Tyson wins the Seagram Cup. 2.5 to 3 lengths over Carruthers, Artie Storm. 4.5 to Clear Destination. King Max and 77 Stone was last.
The one of 2 in here for Josie Carroll, who also sent Duke of Love from the Woodbine base coming off the Tapeta. 2 Woodbine horses in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. That kind of tells you that it's not a division scaring people away. They're willing to travel from out of town to come in for it. I might be a little hard on Proxy and Rattle and Roll. Look, they're 2 of my favorite horses, actually. I really like them as 2-year-old, 3-year-olds as they've gone up. And we should be happy that we have good 5-year-olds and 4-year-olds at least running in this game today and in the handicap division. I just don't think they're elite kind of horses. They're not the Go Sappers, mine shaft horse of the year kind of horses. And maybe every Jockey Club Gold Cup winner doesn't have to be in that mantra, but Proxy, Rattle and Roll, very solid horses, capable in their days. You look at their resume: Stephen Foster, Santa Anita Handicap, Clark Handicap, Oaklawn Handicap. They've run in the big ones. They've danced a lot of the dances, and they certainly belong in the handicap division. I just don't put a circle around them automatically and say, superstar, let's move on. We can handicap races they're in because they are above some of the other contenders, but they're not head and shoulders above. So Jeff's going with a fresh face in there in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Tyson, let's see if he can do the knockout or if Buster Douglas has his number on Saturday at the Spa. Let's go to Del Mar next up on Saturday, where it is Pacific Classic Day. And for our card of races that we're going to look at, clicking buttons here, and they're not coming up. That should be this list right here. Here's what we're going to take a look at Del Mar. The Del Mar Mile in race number 7 starts things off. 5 consecutive stakes races, and all stakes pick 5 with no filler, no fluff. Real stakes action. Del Mar Mile, Torrey Pines, Green Flash, Pacific Classic, and Del Mar Handicap. Races 7 through 11, 5 in a row. Let's get it started, Mr. Siegel. Let's go to the Del Mar Mile on the turf here at a mile. Traditional 2-turn race here. They don't start with the elbow start going a mile at Del Mar. It'll start on the course proper and make a little more than a lap around. Where did you end up in this one?
I ended up with Exalted, not a hard horse to pick because since taking his game to grass, he's a perfect 4 for 4. He was always a pretty decent sort of allowance horse, and he always trained well, and he was always this kind of horse's guy. You think maybe he's better than this. He's just not showing it. Then they put him on the grass. He wins first time out at 8-1. Then he comes back and wins another allowance race. Then he wins the American at Santa Anita in April, comes back in the Shoemaker Mile, 3-1 that day, wins that. Numbers are rising. Love his tactical speed. Put him anywhere you want. He can sit third. He's not pace dependent. He can close off slow fractions or fast fractions. And he really can fire fresh, and he's training really, really well on the dirt for Peter Urton. And from where he's drawn in the 4-hole, he is going to draft into the greatest spot of all time. And if he runs back to his best races from the spring and the winter, I don't see any reason why Exalted can't keep winning. I mean, he's doing well, and he's a good horse, and I like him at 3-1.
He should just get a beautiful trip in here. Sumter, the sprinter on the stretch out of the 2-hole, maybe goes, and he just sits second. Visitant, another sprinter to the outside. But we've seen over the years, the best turf milers in Southern California often have been horses that had some speed about them. You think about Obviously and horses like that who like ran out really long streaks. Right now, it seems like a lot of the quality turf miles in Southern California, as we see in this race, are deep closers, right? Balnikoff, and you've got the other D'Amato in here, Count Again. They come from way off the pace. And in a mile race, if you get a lot of heat, then that kind of style can work if you work out the trip. But if the pace isn't strong, you're giving away a lot of advantage in a turf mile. And so horses with speed on that turf course in Southern California, whether it be at Del Mar or Santa Anita, they get over the top of it really well. They don't necessarily come back if you're a good quality speed horse. It's not as demanding as some of the other grass courses around the country. Exalted just kind of fits that need, right? There was a need for a horse who's got a little pace and some quality about them in the mile division out there. And boy, he has just been an absolute round peg and round hole. It's been a beautiful fit, and this race really fits him well too.
You know, it's funny because you go into the walking ring and you'll listen to trainers give instructions to their jocks, and they said, "Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to sit third and then move up." Well, you know, some of Exalted, that's what they do. He sits third all the time, and then he goes on with it. So he's got the great style for what works here in California on turf, and I'm excited to see Exalted return and hopefully pick up where he left off.
You know, that style is the one everybody wants, but only the good horses can get, right? I mean, that's the thing. You think of like California Chrome was like the same trip every single time, you know? Cigar, the exact same trip every single time. Those horses make their trip. The good ones can do that because that's where everybody wants to be. Sit third. Yeah, you go around that walking ring and it's like, sit third. You go to the next guy, sit third. The next guy saying sit third. You know, it's like the whole way around. They're all wanting to do the same thing, but most of the horses don't have the quality to be there. They can't turn it on and off. They don't have the natural early foot and can kick at the end. So it takes a good horse to do it. It looks like Exalted is in that form right now. Is going to be a very tough out in the Del Mar Mile. To the Torrey Pines we go next. Now we're talking milers on the main track here. These are the 3-year-old fillies. Again, we talked about the 3-year-old fillies going at it in the prior rest at Saratoga. It's good to stay in that 3-year-old filly division right now. East, West Coast, doesn't matter. And we've got a good group of 3-year-old fillies in here and a big group from Justique, who last year kind of hinted that she could be a top-notch one. Olivia Twist, one who's going to try back on the dirt after a turf race last time. Jeff, there's some options in here. Face a horse who, you know, got beat in the Black-Eyed Susan. Surprisingly, we haven't seen her since May. An interesting group of 3-year-old fillies trying to find the right spot. $150,000 grade 3. This is a little tougher than usual $150,000 grade 3. This is a pretty good group.
It is. And what I noticed about this race is that they're going a mile, which means that there's a relatively short run of the clubhouse turn. You're going to have lots of speed in here. At least that's how I project the race. Sometimes they can fool you. But you've got a horse like Any who's putting blinkers on. Phaser likes to be close-ups. Ceiling Crusher is basically a speed horse. And there are others in here. I mean, Flying Connection likes to go to the front. So there are horses in here and that are going to get on with it. I mean, Ocean Club. I mean, I don't know how good she is, but she's going to likes to be close up. And I'm going to go for a shot here with a filly that I think is going to really run well around 2 turns for the first time. And that's number 4, Coffee in Bed. Now, okay, so she's by Curlin, so she's automatically my play anyway. But I'll give you the other reasons. She is a filly who's had the 3 sprints. She acts like a filly who will stretch out. She's got that style in the sprints where she sits in mid pack and goes on with it. She stumbled real badly at the start in her comeback here at Del Mar and actually did well to finish third, even though she was beaten as the favorite. And I think with Juan Hernandez taking over, I think what he's going to do is grab her early and just let it sit behind and then rally wide where all the winners seem to come from in 2-turn races at Del Mar when there is pace, and there will be pace in here. She's going to have that slingshot move at the 5/16 pole. And if they get a little tired here in the final stages, Coffee in Bed around 2 turns again for the first time. She's got a turn of foot that I think will really work here. And she's 12-1 on the morning line for Richard Mandela and Juan Hernandez. I'm not, and she's curling, so I'm not passing that up. I don't care what happens. You know?
Curling,
I like Coffee in Bed.
Curling at 12-1 in the morning line. You could just get behind Jeff at any mutual window at any track in America when that happens. I'll be interested to see what Justique does here. She's got the stakes win. She's got grade 3 black type, but she's not a graded stakes winner yet. She's a filly by Justify who hinted at a lot last year, and a graded stakes win for her could be big as a broodmare moving forward. This is the kind of spot where she should be able to make a run in here. She disappointed an allowance company last time when adding Lasix. There's no Lasix involved here, but she gets in light at 118, gets 6 pounds from some of the favorites. So Justique, if the late style works for your top pick, Coffee in Bed, it could work for Justique as well under Mike Smith, who will be trying to save ground and make one run from the back of the pack. Speaking of jockeys, we mentioned Mike Smith there. Umberto Rispoli unseated in the opening race on Thursday's card. Not expected to ride Friday, but hopeful to get back from the weekend. Initial reports we've seen from his agent and others on social media shows that he's had some bumps and bruises, and all the x-rays seem to have come back positive, that there are no broken bones from the spill. So Umberto Rispoli, fingers crossed that he'll be back riding this weekend. Certainly a big card Saturday you'd hate to miss on Pacific Classic Day, but keep an eye on social media. Keep an eye on Del Mar's website for updated news about Rispoli and any jockey changes that may come, certainly Friday, but then over the course of the weekend, if he'll be riding his full allotment amounts, if he'll be back, we certainly hope that he is one of the top riders having a top season this year at Del Mar. And this is the day you don't want to miss at Del Mar on Saturday. Let's continue with the 9th race on the card next in our handicapping. It's the Green Flash. This is one of my favorite stakes at Del Mar every year. 5/8 of a mile on the turf. I love the turf sprints. I love when they go as short as 5/8 of a mile. And when we've got the Breeders' Cup at Santa Anita this year, and of course Del Mar next year, these races can have a major Breeders' Cup turf sprint impact. Santa Anita is not going down the hill this year. They're running on the course proper at 5.5 for the Breeders' Cup turf sprint. So this is a pretty good rehearsal, and turf sprinters typically don't run back on quick time frames. So horses coming out of this race are probably next seen in the Breeders' Cup turf sprint. So this race certainly has a lot of impact on potentially the Breeders' Cup. And if you look at the Breeders' Cup eligible horses here in the past performances, a lot of those logos across the PPs. So this will be a major prep towards the Breeders' Cup turf sprint, Jeff.
Looking at this race, Jeremy, first of all, I've watched a lot of recent Del Mar 5-furlong turf sprints. I don't have the stats in front of me, but man, I got to tell you, speed is not holding. I don't know what it is. I mean, sure, you can get loose in the lead and cruise and keep going, but that's not happening in this race. There's nothing but tearaway speed in here. And I'm looking for a horse to come from off the pace. Maybe not a deep closer, but maybe one that can sit in the second flight, be first over, and then hit the front and hold on. And again, the race profile, if I'm right about that, will fit Lane Way to a T. He's another one of these horses that likes to sit right behind the leaders. He hasn't been out since January, but he can fire fresh. You can see him. He's a big, good-looking gelding, and he looks terrific here. And remember, he's a grass horse, but he's getting over the dirt really, really well. 48 breezing, could have gone in 46. Lengthening out, striding out, very happy, very sharp, ready to roll. And he's had good form over this turf course in the past, but he really got good in the winter. And I think if he comes back as well as he left, Laneway, not only is he good enough to win, but he's going to be in the proper spot to win. He's 5-1 on the morning line for Mike Smith, who knows him well, rides him regularly. For Richard Mandela, who has put some good works into him. That was a breezing work, but he's also been 59 and 59 from the gate since then. So, I mean, he's cranked up. This is a race. This is a race they're really pointing for, and I think he's going to fire a huge shot. I like Lane Way to win the Green Flash.
second in this race last year to Lieutenant Dan, a top class horse. I
Yeah.
don't think there's anybody with
No.
Lieutenant Dan's form in this particular race. So if Laneway can run back to that race last year, could see himself in the winner's circle here, no question. If you're concerned about a layoff, don't be. Turf sprints, 5/8 of a mile. It's about sharpness, not fitness. And so I don't have any worries at all that Richard Mandela would have this horse ready to go 5/8 of a mile at his sharpest. And it's not about stamina when we're talking about the 5/8 mile sprint. So Jeff's top pick, Laneway, in the Green Flash Saturday at Del Mar. Let's turn our attention now to our fourth handicapping race of the weekend at Del Mar on the Saturday card. It's the Pacific Classic, 1.25 miles, 33rd running of Del Mar's signature race. This is a prep and a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Classic. And as John White wrote in the blog section at expressbet.com, what a difference a year makes. Last year in this spot, we were looking at Flightline and a Coronation, an absolute standout favorite in a short field, and it was just going to be a name your margin kind of race. We get the Pacific Classic number 33 this year, and there is no standout favorite. We've got 3 3-year-olds taking on 8 older horses in a field of 11 where many have joined the cast, and somebody's going to come away with this with a big-time victory, Jeff, but it is not obvious on paper like it was a year ago.
Well, I'm looking at the contenders. I start from the top with Go Rocket Ride, and I work my way down, and I've got a negative feeling about all of them. Really, it's that kind of race. I mean, I like Go Rocket Ride. That's the good news. He's a lightly raced Candy Ride colt. He's won 3 out of 4. He's run a triple-digit buyer number last time out. Every race that he runs, he gets faster on numbers. All that's great, and that's why he's a 5-2 morning line favorite. Here's what I don't like. Number one, I don't like the rail going 1.25 miles here. The rail, sometimes you can get trapped in there. The inside lanes traditionally are slower at Del Mar. You got to watch the races early on the day to see if that so-called bias exists. Sometimes it doesn't. Right. But maybe if you see that the rally widers are dominating, that's going to put Go Rocket Ride into a jackpot. Coming out of a race that I thought was pretty good, and then I don't know if Mage's poor run means anything or not. He was second, ran dead last in the Travers. Arabian Night had a perfect trip in that race, and he kind of flattened out. I wonder whether he can go 1.25 miles. So I'm a little bit at 5-2. I'm a little bit concerned about Go Rocket Ride. I'm not crazy about anything that comes out of the San Diego handicap. I thought that was a below par race. Several of these are coming out of that race, including the upset winner of the race, Senor Buscador, who is 13-1. He never ever earned a triple-digit buyer number in any of his previous starts. He's a nice horse. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's only had 12 starts with 6 wins, but I mean, you look at him and he could run 7th just as easily, and he's a 10-1 off that race. Arabian Night, as I mentioned, he could not have gotten a more perfect trip, more comfortable trip than he got in the Haskell. He sat outside, he made the run. He didn't put up any resistance at all. I was very disappointed in that race, and I wonder whether he really wants to go 1.25 miles, and I'm wondering how good he really is anyway. Right. So so there you have that. And that brings me to my top pick, and that is Skinner. And here's why I like Skinner. Now, Skinner, I thought his race in the San Diego Derby was actually really good, considering that he came against a little bit of the grain over a track that doesn't promote his style. He earned the 99 bar number. He looked like a horse that was going to run huge in the Kentucky Derby. He didn't make the race. He's had his issues. He's not the soundest moving horse in the world, and I know John Sheriffs has got to keep him, ticking over. And I thought in the Low Sal Derby he was a short horse, but I'm going to tell you, he looks terrific in the morning now. Plus, I like the outside draw where he can drop over and pick his spot. I like the fact that the pace is going to be quick. I think I like the fact that he's going to run just like he's working here. He's going to sweep on by the leaders, and you can see he's kind of a sloppy mover. He doesn't change leads until late. But there's talent there, and he's got a track profile that fits his style. And I think with pace on and the patient ride he's going to get, I really think Skinner is ready to run the race of his life. And is that good enough? Well, 10-1, I'm going to gamble that it is. So there you have it. I like Skinner, upset winner of the Pacific Classic. I'm hoping anyway.
Well, you said you start at the top of the page and you work your way down, and you're kind of like putting X's everywhere. You just got to the last horse and gave up, or are you really like Skitter?
No, actually, I like him. I like him, but I also like when he's drawn.
He's the 11.
I
Right?
would not like him if he was in the rail on the inside, because then he'd be taking that dirt in his face. He could shuffle back. Here is where he can sit out there. Hector Barrios, good patient rider, and he can move when he wants to move. I wouldn't be disappointed if he was dead last early on, because that means he can move when he wants to move. He's got an extended run. He doesn't have a great turn of foot, but at Del Mar, extended runs work. Trust me, going a distance to ground. You can start your move at the 3/8 pole, rally wide, and just keep coming, and I think that's what's going to happen.
You don't go Rocket Rides fast in here. Stiletto Boys always forward. Defunded and Arabian Night are two Bafferts. Are they both going to go knock heads with each other? Probably not, but one of the two for sure is going to be up part of the mix. This race does feel like it sets up for a closer. I've never thought Senor Buscador was a 1.25 mile horse, so he's not the closer to kind of look at, even though he had the upset win in the San Diego. I agree with you there. So maybe it does all come back to Skinner. Another curling at a price. Get in line behind Mr. Siegel.
I had forgotten that he was by curling. I forgot that he was, and that's just another added bonus. I should have mentioned that. The other horse, I slow down Andy. I mean, he's going to show speed if they want to. Like close up. So this race sets up for a closer, and I mean, it's a good race. I mean, last year on this show, when we handicapped the Pacific Classic, I said, I think Flightline, if he wanted, he could probably win by 20, and he didn't. He only won by 19. So
it was 19.
That was easy.
I knew
this isn't so easy.
Yeah. He won from there to the Pacific Ocean, which is probably 19 lengths from Del Mar.
Right.
Let's go to the 11th and final on the card. It is the Del Mar handicap. We go long on the turf in this one. Jeff, I know you like Gold Phoenix in here. Let's let the fans see his win last time out in the Eddie Reed.
I see Mo Karen. Let's see Count Again starting to run. Count Again's going to have to pick a spot to go, though. They come for home now. Carbo Spirit on the outside. Master of Foxhounds right there. Count Again tries to make headway. Belnikov coming with a big run as well. And Gold Phoenix on the outside. Belnikov. Gold Phoenix, Belnikov. Gold Phoenix going on. And Gold Phoenix has won the Eddie Reed. Gold Phoenix to Belnikov. In third was Master of Foxhounds, and then Count Again.
Barrios timed it right on Gold Phoenix in that one with a 9-2 win in the Eddie Reed. But Barrios is going to find a new seat in this race. He's going to Planetario, the horse he won the San Juan Capistrano aboard for Richard Mandela. Could be a huge day for Mandela. You liked a couple of his horses on the undercard. He's got Go Rocket Ride. He's got Planetario coming off the 5th in the United Nations. Anything to the jockey maneuvering there with Barrios, and certainly with Gold Phoenix, you land the top pilot in Juan Hernandez. So no harm, no foul.
Yeah, I think Hector probably could have ridden either one. He chose Planetario from Mandela. I'm not saying he's wrong. I loved his San Juan win. I was disappointed in his United Nations race. He just didn't repeat the same quality of race. It was not a bad race for him, but I would have thought that he might have stuck with Gold Phoenix only because Gold Phoenix won this race last year, and that's fine. So we know he likes the course. He's obviously in form, having won the Eddie Reed. We can get the trip, and he's actually a lower price on the morning line, 3-1 as opposed to 4-1. So I like Gold Phoenix, but these are the kind of races that it's a cavalry charge, and whoever can find a good spot and quicken and run a race. I think Gold Phoenix can do that. Planetario can do that. I wouldn't even completely throw out Awfully Naughty, who was terrific, I thought, at Santa Anita, and then kind of got victimized by a lack of pace in the San Juan and ran well. But maybe that was his third start, and maybe he just wasn't quite up to it. But I could see him bounce back in a big way as well. But I'll go with Gold Phoenix. He doesn't have to win, He's as good as any, but you could talk me into half a dozen here. I wouldn't talk you off him.
Del Mar handicap at 1 3/8, a furlong shorter than the Breeders' Cup turf, but with the Breeders' Cup in California this year at Santa Anita, you can almost be sure that a horse or two out of this race will end up in the Breeders' Cup against the top Euros. There does not look to be a Breeders' Cup turf winner in this year's field at the Del Mar handicap, but one never knows. It's not a traditional path that we see a lot of success with when the Europeans start to come calling and the East Coast horses in the Breeders' Cup turf division. So that will wrap up our handicapping of our 8 stakes races. races here on the podcast. Want to remind you that we've got $30,000 in hit and splits Saturday, Sunday, and Monday at Saratoga and Del Mar in the late pick 4. Hit the late pick 4 on either of those 3 days at either of the 2 tracks. That gives you 6 different opportunities, and there'll be $5,000 added to the payoff, split among winners just with First Bet and Express Bet. Be sure to play your late pick 4s at the Spa in Del Mar this Labor Day weekend with First Bet and Express Bet. Handicapping tournament action again, Del Mar on Saturday, Kentucky Downs on Sunday. I think I misspoke earlier and said the Del Mar tournament was on Sunday. Del Mar handicapping tournament Saturday, Kentucky Downs handicapping tournament on Sunday. Those at Express Bet only. Be sure to take part in those handicapping tournaments at Express Bet. And for those 27 players, entrants into the final table in the Fun in the Sun, good luck playing for $16,202 on Saturday at expressbet.com. Fun in the Sun finalists include 3 dual qualifiers. Again, salute Gordon Maroya, Frank Wynn, and also Paul Janis for qualifying twice. They've got 2 entries in that final table. Jeff, it's Labor Day weekend. I'd be remiss as a quarter horse fan not to mention the All-American Futurity coming up on Monday at Ruidoso Downs. We've got 10 times wager rewards points when you play the All-American Futurity with Express Bet on Monday. In fact, 10 times wager rewards points on the entire Ruidoso card coming up on Monday for the $3 million All-American Futurity. That'll be a big one. We'll give you a meet the contenders look at all the finalists for the All-American. 10 finalists qualified, of course, through dozens of trial races a couple weeks ago at Ruidoso. So we'll get you set up for that one on Monday. Also, live racing is back at Golden Gate Fields. They returned last weekend. They will have Monday racing, of course, on Labor Day at Golden Gate Fields, where if you bet $100 on the card, you get 20 back, a rebate of $20 back on a $100 bet at Golden Gate when you play with First Bet and Express Bet. So a lot of holiday action coming up. It's Labor Day on Monday. We'll do our labor before that so we can sit back and enjoy the races on Monday, Jeff.
Yeah, Labor Day is work for me. I've got to go full card analysis for Del Mar and Saratoga this weekend, but that's a labor of love. But I guarantee you, after Labor Day, I'm going to go. Even though we have one more week left at Del Mar, I mean that'll be like easy work. Can't wait for that, and good racing around the weekend, and we watching. And again, a lot of Breeders' Cup implications still this weekend and beyond.
Next week, we will return on our regular Tuesday time slot for It's Official to recap all the Labor Day weekend action in the Pacific Classic. Who will we be celebrating? We'll find out on Tuesday on It's Official as we look at 5 hot topics each and every week. On behalf of everybody with First Bet and Express Bet and my partner, Jeff Siegel, I'm Jeremy Plonk. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the Pacific Classic, everybody.